Greetings. So today I wanted to talk about forgiveness and the freedom in forgiveness. When you don't forgive, and I'm sure most of you have heard this saying before, it is like drinking poison. You think you are hurting someone else. You think you are feeding them the poison by not forgiving and holding on to that resentment and anger, but you are actually drinking the poison yourself, and you're poisoning your mind, body, and spirit, your soul. And who really wants to do that? So forgiveness can be a difficult subject for us to talk about because it almost feels like, well, if I forgive them, then what happens? Because we get so comfortable in our pain and we don't know what to do in order to release that pain. And we also feel like it's like saying it's okay for whatever happened that we feel was extremely painful to us. And when you forgive, the forgiveness is for you. Holding on to anything too tight is not allowing things to flow in your life, because when you're holding on, that means I have what I want, I have what I need. And then you have to ask yourself, is what I need, is this trauma? Is what I need, is this memory continuously repeating in my mind? And your mind is the soil of your life. You know, when you are planting something, you want the soil to be good. A lot of times when people are planting food, they want to test their soil and see, how it works and how things are in place, or they like to plant things in certain soil. So your mind is where you are planting your seeds for your harvest, right? And when you plant seeds of hope and faith and love and abundance, that's what you create. When you go back to reap your harvest, that's what you're creating. But when you're planting seeds of anger and frustration and resentment, that's what you're creating as well. We are our own worst enemy and our own hero. So one way that you can work on your forgiveness is by freeing your mind of what exactly it was that hurt you, because it's a memory, right? And if you go back and this is something I've worked with clients, but you can also do this, it takes practice. If you go back into that space and you think of a memory, right? Like for me, one of the memories, I'll give you an example because it's easy when you know. For me, one of the memories was when I got molested as a child, right? So I would go back and I would meditate on it, and I was so angry and upset and fearful of it. But when I go back to it now, like you meditate on it or you think about it, and then what was the outcome, right? The outcome, whatever the outcome was, what did you need at that moment? Obviously, I needed it not to happen, but it happened. So what did you need at that moment when it happened to help you get through it? And you give yourself that. So for me, it was love, comfort, protection, right? So I sit with my inner child and I give her a lot of love, comfort, and protection. And I think of the memory, and after it would happen, I go back and think of the feeling of the love, protection, and comfort, so it can ease that pain in that memory. And that's how powerful your mind is. You actually have the ability to shift that perspective, to shift that pain. So, when you're dealing with different memories and you continuously play them out, it limits you from moving forward. So you have to say to yourself, okay, how can I move forward? Why am I still holding on to this? The pain gets very comfortable. And sometimes we don't know what it's going to feel like if we release the pain. When you don't forgive someone, you poison yourself. And someone else's karma and what's happening in someone else's life is none of your responsibility, nor is it your business. What is happening in your life because of what you've been through is your business. And at some point you have to take responsibility for what you are still holding on to that is continuously allowing you and making you reap a harvest of pain and suffering. And so then once you switch that thought and once you switch that memory and go into that space, then you're able to say, okay, you know, like I'm receiving what I needed now. You know, placing blame is a very comfortable thing as well. Pointing the finger and saying this could have been handled this way, that could have been handled that way is very comfortable, and it's very easy because it gives us an excuse to stay in victim mode. And we don't like to hear that we are in victim mode, but it's the truth. You know, if you continuously are saying, this person's a problem, I don't know why they won't do this, I don't know why they won't give me this, I don't know why they didn't handle this like this, it happened. They didn't. And maybe they're never going to. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to stay victim? Because you're not a victim anymore. You're a volunteer, right? Who likes to volunteer for stuff they don't like? No one? I mean, do you see people on community service, volunteer community service because they did something that was illegal or whatever? Do you see them smiling and happy? No. So you have to take away the suffering in your mind and say, okay, I'm volunteering this. What do I want to bring myself to volunteer for? I want to volunteer for joy. I want to volunteer for prosperity. I want to volunteer for happiness. So if your mind is your soil, what type of seeds are you going to plant? Are you going to plant seeds of prosperity and forward movement? Are you going to plant seeds to create the life you want and to be in that moment? Our feelings are matched by the universe. Our energy is matched by the universe. The universe is our ally. So if you're constantly replaying something, the universe is like, okay, this is Groundhog Day, let's do it. If you are affirming and you are getting out of your own way, and it's not easy, it takes time, it takes work, and it takes practice. But if you can put work into going out, if you can put work into your physical attire, you can put work into your internal to make yourself happy, because happiness is an inside job. So when you work on your forgiveness, then you don't realize that you are creating an abundant amount of happiness and inner peace. And no matter how much money you have, no matter what next promotion you're waiting for, or what you're waiting for, or I'll be happy when this happens, and the lottery, and that, and this, it's never going to bring you happiness until you forgive what you need to forgive, and you forgive yourself. People only do what you allow, and you are your own worst enemy and your own solution. So you have to make a decision to move forward and to plant seeds of joy and prosperity. And remember that what someone does to you has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't. And they can tell you it does, but it really doesn't. It has something to do with them internally. And what you do to others, you really do to yourself. So whatever brought you suffering, you have the power to take back your life and remove that suffering and bring in peace and plant seeds of peace and happiness. Or you have the power to stay in that pain and continue to allow what someone else did to you take over your life. So it is really a decision that you have to make. And there is so much freedom in forgiving others and forgiving yourself so you can move forward. I hope this video was helpful. And if you need help on working on your forgiveness or recognizing the areas that are blocking you from moving forward, please book a session or a life coaching package. I'd love to help you.